Imagine trying to build a house on shifting sand. No matter how high the walls go, it's destined to fall. That's what our spiritual life is like without humility of heart. We often think that the only thing keeping us from God is the kind of loud and boastful pride that we see in others. But what if it's the subtle and quiet ways we put ourselves at the center of everything? The little voice that says, "I deserve more." Pride is dangerous precisely because it hides itself. It was pride that turned light into darkness and cast angels from heaven. As Father Cajetan de Bergamo once warned, quote, "Pride is sufficient to transform angels into demons. Imagine what it does to the human soul," end quote. And that's why humility isn't optional, it's essential. You can pray for hours, you can fast, you can do amazing good works. But if humility isn't the hidden root, the whole thing turns hollow. This isn't about weakness, it's about truth and power. So let's talk about why humility of heart is the most necessary and the most freeing virtue that you can ever possess. As I said, humility doesn't mean weakness, and it doesn't mean tearing yourself down. Humility means truth. It means seeing yourself exactly as you are before God. That you are a beloved but utterly dependent creature. The Apostle Peter tells us, quote, "God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Therefore, humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, that in due time he may exalt you," end quote. Think about that. Pride doesn't just distance us from God, it puts us in opposition to him. But humility opens the floodgates of his grace. To humble yourself under God's hand is to place your life within his care, trusting that his strength is greater than your own. As Father Cajetan reminds us, pride builds illusions, but humility clears the fog so we can finally see reality. And at the center of that reality is God. Here's the hard truth. Pride isn't always obvious. Pride doesn't just look like arrogance. Pride can show up in subtle everyday ways, like needing recognition when you do something good, or getting offended when someone corrects you, or constantly comparing yourself with others. The most dangerous pride isn't the kind others notice. It's the kind we excuse. The little voice that says, "I deserve better. I'm more important. I should be seen." That's where humility of heart has to do its deepest work. Jesus spoke directly to the motivation behind our actions. He says, quote, "Beware of practicing your righteousness before other people in order to be seen by them. For then you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven," end quote. Humility means seeking an audience of one, God alone. But humility isn't just about what we do, it's about why we do it. Pride has a way of sneaking into even the holiest actions. You can drop a $100 bill into the collection basket, but if the thought crosses your mind, "I hope someone sees this," then what began as charity quietly became self-glorification. You can fast and tell no one, but if in your heart you think, "I'm more disciplined than others," your hunger has turned into vanity. You can serve in your parish, volunteer, or even pray devoutly. But if the motive becomes, "so others will notice how faithful I am," then pride has stolen what was meant for God. Father Cajetan warns that pride can hide even under the appearance of virtue. It twists good deeds into mirrors that reflect ourselves instead of windows that reveal God. Now let's talk about why this isn't just one virtue among many. Humility is the spiritual air that every other virtue breathes. Think about it. You can't practice true charity if your pride won't allow you to admit that the other person's need is as valid as your own. You can't have genuine faith if you aren't humble enough to admit that you don't have all the answers and you need to rely on God. Every single positive trait that you strive for is perfected by humility. When the Bible tells us to put on Christ, it's an invitation to take on his virtues. and the gospel shows us which one he considers paramount. Jesus said, quote, "Learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls," end quote. If Christ, the Son of God, chose humility as his defining path, it reveals the only path that leads to the Father. The narrow gate to life is the gate of surrender, of gentleness, and of humility. By humbling ourselves, we're finally conforming our lives to the pattern of Christ himself, which is the whole point of the spiritual journey. Father Cajetan makes this clear. Humility of heart is not about bowing your head or making an act of lowliness. It's about internal surrender. It's about spiritual poverty. It's a recognition that we have nothing good apart from God. This is what St. Paul came to understand in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9, when the Lord said to him, "My power is made perfect in weakness." That's the heart of humility. It's not self-hatred, it's surrender. It's choosing to let God's strength shine where ours fails. Humility looks like being content when no one notices your good deed. It looks like accepting correction without rushing to defend yourself. It looks like staying at peace when you're misunderstood. And it sounds like saying each day, "Lord, I need your mercy, for my strength is nothing." When we embrace our weakness, we aren't losing power. We're making room for God's. That's the paradox of humility. The lower we go, the more his grace fills us. Don't expect to master humility overnight. Each act of humility is laying the stone and the foundation of your spiritual life. Over time, that foundation becomes unshakable. Now, how do we live this out? Father Cajetan gives us a roadmap. Start your prayer by confessing your dependence on God. When you're corrected, even unfairly, practice not rushing to defend yourself. Look for small ways to serve, especially where no one notices. And here's a powerful step, drawn from the book of James. Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will exalt you. This isn't just a promise for the distant future. It means every time you choose a humble response, every time you bite back a proud word or accept a slight in silence, you are immediately receiving a greater grace from God. The world says strength comes from standing tall. Christ shows us true strength comes from kneeling low. Humility of heart isn't about thinking less of yourself. It's about thinking of yourself less, so that you can see God more. So here's the challenge. Ask God today, "Lord, show me where pride still rules my heart, and give me the grace to be humble like you." If we learn humility of heart, we don't just change how we see ourselves, we change how we see God. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really hope this gave you something to meditate on. A quick note, I've put the direct link to Humility of Heart in the description box below so you can easily check it out. And if you want to see more content like this that encourages us to take our spiritual life seriously, go ahead and subscribe and share this video with a friend. And more importantly, please keep me and my family in your prayers and know that I'm praying for you too. God bless.